So let's talk about one of the biggest headaches in any kind of complex investigation. What do you do with that massive, messy pile of evidence? We're going to dive into a really cool new project that came up with a clever solution, basically building a team of AI detectives to sort it all out.
And when you really think about it, that's what these cases are, right? Every major legal battle, every compliance review, every big security breach, at its heart, it's just a giant puzzle. And the goal is always the same: piece together a coherent story from a total jumble of information.
But here's the thing, unlike a nice, neat jigsaw puzzle, the pieces are everywhere. You've got emails, official filings, maybe some scanned handwritten notes, and system logs, PDFs, screenshots, all the metadata. It's a complete mess of different formats and sources. For any human being, trying to sift through all of that is not just tedious, it's a recipe for mistakes. So that's the real challenge, isn't it? How do you take all that chaos and systematically turn it into a clear, structured story you can actually work with? Well, that is the exact question a project called LexFabric Agents set out to answer for a Google AI intensive.
Okay, so how did they do it? The solution wasn't to build one single giant know-it-all AI. Instead, they built a specialized team of what you can really think of as AI detectives, where each one has a specific job to do to bring order to all that chaos.
And this whole idea is built on something called a multi-agent system. It's all about collaboration. Instead of having one generalist AI trying to do everything, you create a team of specialists. You might have one agent that's an expert at just reading files, another that's a pro at spotting dates and names, and a third that's amazing at putting everything in order. When they work together, they can tackle a way more complex goal. So what was this AI team's mission? Well, the objectives were super clear. First, just get all that scattered evidence in one place. Second, analyze it and pull out the key facts, the who, what, and when. The next job is to build a single chronological timeline from all those facts. Then, and this is huge, let a user just ask questions in plain English and get answers. And finally, and this is the big one, make sure every single step is traceable and can be reproduced. In the world of law and compliance, that last part, it's not just a nice feature, it's absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, so we get the mission, but how does this thing actually work under the hood? The system's architecture really has two main parts that have to work together perfectly to make it all happen.
And this breaks it down really well. On one side, you've got the synthetic evidence server. Just think of that as the evidence locker. It's a stable, controlled place that holds all the case files. Then, on the other side, you have the multi-agent pipeline. That's your detective team. They're the ones who go into that locker, process all the evidence, and start piecing the story together. So let's see how this detective team actually works together. The whole process is set up kind of like an assembly line, where each agent does its specific task in a sequence, building on the work of the agent that came right before it. And this shows that four-step process perfectly. First up, you have the ingest agent. It basically acts like a clerk, just gathering up all the files from that evidence locker. Next, the analysis agent comes in. This is like your lead investigator. It reads every single file and pulls out all the crucial facts. Then, the timeline agent, who's like the team's historian, takes all those facts and arranges them into a perfect chronological sequence. And finally, the Q&A agent steps up to act as the spokesperson, ready to answer any question you have based on that timeline. And I love this quote from the project's author, Francisco Raveles, because it really just gets to the heart of the whole thing. All of this complex technology serves a very simple but incredibly powerful purpose, turning a total mess of files into a clean story that actually makes sense.
So we've seen the process, we understand the thinking behind it, but what do you actually get at the end? What's the payoff for all this work? Let's take a look at the results.
The transformation here is pretty striking. As you can see, the system takes the before, which is just a pile of disconnected files, and it produces the after, a single unified timeline. This is that moment of clarity every investigator dreams of, turning all that raw, chaotic data into structured knowledge you can actually use. And, interacting with this incredibly powerful output is so direct. Through a really simple interface, a user can just ask a normal question in natural language, like, what happened after the February 4 email? No complicated code, no complex queries, just plain English. Now, this part is crucial. The system provides what's known as a grounded answer. And that means it doesn't just guess. It performs a search over both the raw evidence and the timeline it just created to find the facts. Then it combines everything it finds into a single reliable response. In other words, you know exactly why it's giving you that specific answer.
So look, this is a really cool demonstration. But why does this one project matter in the bigger picture? What can we all learn from it? Well, the implications go way beyond just this one system.
It really all comes down to a concept we touched on earlier, and it's absolutely critical: determinism. In high-stakes fields like law or finance, you just can't have an AI that gives you one answer on Monday and a totally different one on Tuesday from the exact same set of evidence. Determinism means reliability. It means the process is reproducible, and most importantly, that it's trustworthy.
And the project makes this happen using a cryptographic method called SHA-256 hashing. The best way to think of it is like creating a unique, unforgeable digital fingerprint for every single file. If even one tiny comma changes in a document, that fingerprint changes completely. This guarantees the integrity of the evidence from start to finish, just like a chain of custody protocol in the real world.
Ultimately, this whole project is an incredible proof of concept. It shows how a team of specialized AI agents can work together to bring structure, clarity, and, most importantly, reliability to these overwhelmingly complex problems. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question to think about. If AI can unravel the puzzles in our legal system, what other massive puzzles in science, business, and society will it help us solve next?